Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Black Liberation Tech podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renee Jordan, and today we are going to pick up where we left off with the Janiyah GPT Workshop. Once again, you go to the Black Liberation Tech website, which is available in both English and Spanish, and go over to Janiyah GPT in the menu bar and select Intro Workshop. Now, last week I left off at the facilitator demo prompts, and it's titled AI is Not Magic Demo. Okay, so what we're going to do, step one, ask Janiyah the same career question twice. So the first prompt is going to be vague, and it says, "Hi Janiyah, I like biology, technology, and art. Would you please tell me about two jobs that might be a match for me?" The next prompt is actually one that provides more detail and context. As you can see, detail and contextualize. Janiyah, I'm especially interested in using AI to enhance imagery in my storytelling and Afrofuturism. Would you please suggest two emerging careers where people use these skills to support their communities through grassroots movements? Take a look at step number 2. After both responses are displayed, ask participants, what differences do you notice? Which response feels more aligned with identity and purpose? What details in the second prompt shaped the outcome? Does more detail always mean better results? What should we still verify? Okay, now to that, I'm going to leave you to it. Feel free to answer those questions in the comment section. Step number 3. After comparing the two outputs, ask which prompt shows more agency. So, which one shows more choice in the matter? I want you to think about that question too and let me know your thoughts. Now, here's the key takeaway from this AI is not magic demo and the facilitator prompts in general. Key takeaway: AI is not magic. The quality of the response depends on the clarity, context, and the values in the prompt. So, make sure you keep that in mind whenever you are engaging with AI platforms. Okay, now this is the last prompt, if you will, for this workshop. So whether you did the lightweight conversation starters, whether you did the prompts, the ultra simple ones, or you took a look at those deep dives and even the facilitator prompts, this next question is the one that everybody should try. So after Janiyah gives you a response, don't stop there. Type this into the chat. What are the limitations or potential biases in the response you just gave me? Then pause and reflect. Did the AI acknowledge uncertainty? Did it suggest verifying information? Did it mention missing perspectives? And what responsibility do you still have? AI literacy isn't just about getting answers, it's about learning how to question the answers. So with that, I'm going to copy this question and I'm going to go back to Janiyah and I will say here, thank you, Janiyah. You have given me so much more to explore with your last response. I am going to save it for later. Before going deeper in this career exploration and visionary work, I want to ask you a follow-up question. And I'm going to put Janiyah once again. Okay, so here is my response based on this question, the AI prompt. So I said, thank you, Janiyah. You have given me so much more to explore with your last response. I'm going to save it for later. Before going deeper in this career exploration and visionary work, I want to ask you a follow-up question. Janiyah, I think that's hyphenated. I want to ask you a follow-up question. Janiyah, what are the limitations or potential biases in the last response you just gave me? Let's take a look and see what she has to say. All right, now let's give it a read. I really respect this question. This is advanced AI literacy, not just receiving inspiration, but interrogating it. Let me walk you through the limitations and potential biases in my previous response. I'm going to be very transparent. Number one, I may have romanticized emerging roles. The careers I described community health tech story architect are emerging and hybrid, but they are not always formal job titles. They may not appear clearly on job boards. Funding for grassroots plus Afrofuturist work can be unstable, and entry pathways may be less structured than traditional careers. That means I may have framed them in an aspirational way without fully emphasizing income variability, institutional barriers, credential requirements, and sustainability challenges. In liberation centered coaching, imagination matters, but so does material reality. Number two, I may have centered creativity over market data. I leaned into visionary alignment with Afrofuturism, cultural affirmation, narrative justice. What I did not provide were labor statistics, salary ranges, regional job availability, and demand projections. That's a bias towards purpose and identity alignment over economic analysis. Both matter. Number three, I could be reinforcing identity expectations. Because you mentioned Afrofuturism and grassroots movements, I centered community activism, justice oriented roles, and cultural storytelling. But that may unintentionally suggest that your work must serve community directly. Your interests must be political. Your identity should determine your career path. That's a subtle bias. You are allowed to create purely experimental art, work in corporate biotech, enter academia, or build profit-driven ventures. Liberation includes choices. Number four, AI pattern bias. My response draws on patterns from public health equity discourse, data justice conversations, creative AI narratives, and culturally responsive pedagogy. AI systems often associate Afrofuturism with activism, associate anatomy with health equity, and associate grassroots with nonprofit work. Those associations may limit the range of possibilities. For example, Afrofuturist medical gaming studios, commercial immersive biotech media, AI powered anatomy education startups, or museum curation in science fiction bio art. I did not surface corporate or entrepreneurial variations as strongly. All right, number five, feasibility and resource bias. I did not fully discuss cost of graduate education, portfolio building time, access to AI tools, gatekeeping in art tech spaces, or grant writing realities. That's a structural blind spot. Grassroots plus emerging plus tech often requires social capital, mentorship, access to high-powered software, or institutional partnerships. Without those, pathways can be harder than my response suggested. Number six, imagery bias. The image groups I included were designed to visually affirm Black bodies in futuristic contexts. However, AI generated imagery systems often struggle with anatomical accuracy. They can distort skin tone, hair texture, or facial structure. They may reproduce beauty standards unconsciously. So even aspirational imagery can carry bias. Number seven, I did not explicitly address ethical risk of AI in anatomy. Using AI in anatomical visualization can create inaccurate depictions, oversimplified biological variation, privacy concerns if using real patient data, or reinforcement of biological essentialism. I mentioned ethics briefly, but not in depth. That's a limitation. All right, so next we have a meta level limitation. I'm trained on broad data. I do not know the nuances of your local grassroots ecosystem, have access to current grant landscapes, track real time community funding cycles, or understand specific barriers you might face geographically. My guidance is conceptual, not locally grounded. All right, reflect mode for you. Ask yourself, did I feel energized by the vision? Did any part feel unrealistic? Did anything feel like it assumed Something about my identity? What practical information do I still need? Critical AI use means inspiration plus interrogation. All right, and now she's going to provide some suggestions on as far as how to move forward. What we could do next. If you want more precision, we could map visionary career to realistic credential pathway, compare grassroots versus institutional roles, add salary plus job market analysis, design a low-cost pilot project to test feasibility, or conduct a bias audit together on AI generated anatomy visuals. You are modeling exactly what I hope learners do, not just ask what AI can create, but ask what it might be missing. That's intellectual sovereignty. Okay, so I'm going to thank her for her transparency and recommendations and let her know that I want to push pause here for today. All right, so this is how I'm wrapping things up with Janiyah. Thank you, Janiyah. I appreciate your transparency and recommendations. You have given me a lot to think about today, so I want to push pause here in our conversation. Okay, so this is what Janai has to say in response. That sounds wise. You've done a lot of deep thinking today. Imagination, interrogation, ethics, bias analysis. That's real cognitive labor. Pausing is not quitting, pausing is integration. In the spirit of Bueno, knowledge connected to well being becomes the most powerful next step. Let the ideas settle, notice what lingers, see what keeps calling you back. You don't have to solve your future in one sitting. And just a callback to Bueno. Bueno is the epistemology for my dissertation. It is an African philosophy that talks about how true knowledge only comes when harmony is reached between you and humanity as well as nature. And that's going to include yourself. Okay. What part of today's conversation felt most aligned with who you are becoming? That's often more important than any job title. Whenever you're ready to resume, whether it's visionary work, practical pathway mapping, or something completely different, I'll be here as your thinking partner. Rest, reflect, return when you're ready. Okay, so let's go back to the workshop. So I think that was a good activity. We just have a few more things, a note to guardians, and then we are going to wrap it up. So for parents and guardians, Janiyah is not a grading tool and not a replacement for teachers. It is designed to help students break down overwhelming tasks, explore career pathways, practice professional communication, and strengthen critical thinking. We encourage co-use, try prompting together. And here we have a workbook that you can check out. And so it's called Thriving Through Challenges, a guided journey for daughters and mothers slash guardians. And you're welcome to check that out. And then we have another link that will take us to the lessons. And so you're welcome to check out any of the lessons that we have here so that you can do explorations, you can continue conversations with Janiyah or any generative AI tool. There's some prompts there that you can use to practice with Gemini, Claude, or others, and ways and lessons to help you with building your digital literacies. And so those are the lessons. Let's scroll down a little bit more. And so here we have, before you close the tab, ask yourself, did AI help me think differently? What follow-up question could deepen my exploration? How will I verify what I learned today? And then a note, AI is most powerful when it sparks your next question. Now, this is very important. What happens after today? Today was not about mastering AI. It was about enhancing a relationship with it intentionally. Here are 3 ways to continue. Practice once per week. Open Janiyah and try one prompt each week. Ask better questions, add more context, notice what changes. Build something. Start a digital portfolio, create a reflective journal. Document one project that shows your thinking. And just as a callback, I mentioned before, the blackliberation.tech open educational resource is my project that helps me to continue to enhance and advance my skills. I want to encourage everyone to have a project or work on a portfolio, something that you can show off to someone to say, hey, this is what I'm able to do. Now imagine what we can do together. Number three, have one conversation. Learning deepens when we share it. Talk with a parent, sibling, or friend about AI safety, bias in technology, or how AI shows up in hiring or media. You don't need to do all three. Choose one. Consistency builds confidence. And then here's another note. Before you leave today, choose your direction. Growth becomes real when it becomes specific. So be specific about what you will do next. And here is the final closeout. So, next steps. Our community deserves to shape technology, not just respond to it. Your next step is part of that shaping. Take 2 minutes to reflect. AI literacy is not just something we learn, it's something we practice. Write your responses to the following prompts on something that you won't lose. Number one new question I have about AI. What are you now curious about? Number two, one action I will take this month. Will you explore a career field, practice writing stronger prompts, talk to a family member about AI safety, or start a small project? Number three, one skill I want to build: critical thinking, digital storytelling, data literacy, prompt design, research verification. Write it down, make it visible. When we write our intentions, we move from inspiration to implementation. Why this matters: communities that document their goals are more likely to act on them. Your learning doesn't end when this workshop ends. It evolves with your questions, your courage, and your next steps. So, once again, I want to encourage everyone to head on over to the black-liberation.tech website. On the menu bar, go ahead and hover over Janiyah. You might have to select more, but hover over Janiyah. You can either go ahead and start a conversation with her, or you can do the intro workshop for yourself. Now, once you've done it, please let me know how it goes. Share any comments or questions. Make any recommendations that you feel would help improve the workshop. Whatever the case may be, I want to thank you for listening to another episode of the Tech podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renee Jordan. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share, rate, and review the podcast to help it become more discoverable. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.